I was about 7 years old. This would have been first grade, first time through, and I was having a really hard time reading. I'd been undiagnosed at the time for my dyslexia and ADHD, and I strictly remember that I was struggling with the very first book, and the rest of the class had already moved on to the final book. And because they had these packages where you'd have to read up, and if you would read a certain amount of pages a certain amount of way, the teacher would allow you to move to the next book. And I was struggling with it, and I just wouldn't listen to her in class, and I would be off doing something else because it was just easier to play in my own head than to have to listen to her speak because I couldn't read it. She turned around and, without actually talking to a doctor, confirmed that I had ADHD. So she diagnosed me and told my mother that she would not teach me unless I was on medication, that I had to be put on Ritalin, otherwise I wasn't allowed back at her class. Mom then took me to the doctor, but she took me to the doctor. The doctor didn't even really look at me, didn't sit with me, didn't try and test me, just gave my mom Ritalin and told her that I was a big girl, so I could handle the full dosage of Ritalin. Mom told me this one story that I don't have any memory of, and it's actually really scary. I was downstairs and we were supposed to be doing homework, and they tell you that you're supposed to take the pill an hour before doing homework, and then once it's in your system, then you go ahead and do it. So me and her were watching TV, and she told me to go turn off the TV so we could start working. And I got up and I went to the TV. I turned it off and I just stood there. And she says, honey, what's the problem? And I turn around and apparently I'm like white as a ghost. And I say, Mom, there's something wrong. And then I fell over. At the time, we lived 30 minutes out from any nearby hospital, so they shoved me in a car and drove as fast as they could to the hospital. And by the time we'd gotten there, the Ritalin had actually passed through my body. So I'm fine, right? I'm fine. So they start talking, the doctor, my mom, and he basically explains to her that Ritalin is just the prescription form of speed, and I had essentially just had too much. I don't think I overdosed, but it was definitely too much for someone my age, whether I was a big girl or not. My mom then went to the teacher and told her that she was not putting me on medication, that she refused, and that she would work with me and get my grades up. I remember that reading with Mom and my grandmother and just practicing and practicing and practicing, and she made me repeat first year, and the year that I wasn't with that teacher, I started thriving with the help from my grandmother and Mom. I started doing so well. And when my mother turned around and basically showed this teacher my grades, she looked my mom dead in the eye and said, sometimes they just need a kickstart.